Your name came up, and it felt like my soul was calling for something I couldn't have. Someone just messaged me about you, and it made me realize you're not as far away as I thought. They messaged me about you, and for a moment I wanted to scream, I still love you. I heard your name today, and it was like everything I've been hiding just poured out. Someone messaged me about you, and I could feel you lingering in the spaces between their words. They asked about you, and it reminded me of how deeply you're embedded in my heart. Your name in their message cut through me like a blade I couldn't forget. Someone mentioned you, and I realized how much I still carry you with me. They spoke your name, and in that moment, I knew everything between it was unfinished. Someone messaged me about you, and for the first time in so long, I felt something stir inside. I heard about you today, and it was like I was pulled back into your orbit. They spoke your name, and I could feel every word break me open again. Someone messaged me about you, and I wondered if you miss me like I miss you. They asked about you, and I felt the weight of everything I never got to say. Your name was spoken, and suddenly I realized I'm still trapped in the ghost of what we were. Someone messaged me about you, and I found myself wishing I could go back to the way things were. They mentioned you, and it made me realize how much I'm still haunted by what we left behind. Someone messaged me about you, and I felt the unspoken words we never shared. I heard about you today, and it felt like the universe was reminding me of everything I lost. They spoke your name, and in their voice, I could feel all the things I'm not ready to face. Someone messaged me about you, and for a moment, I thought maybe fate was asking me to speak. Your name came up today, and suddenly I was trapped in a memory that wouldn't let go. Someone messaged me about you, and I realized you're still the one who lingers in my heart. If this touched your soul, don't scroll, like, comment your favorite quote, and subscribe for more. I heard your name again, and suddenly, all the walls I built came crumbling down. They messaged me about you, and for a brief second, I thought I could escape these feelings. Someone mentioned you today, and it felt like time had never passed between us. They spoke your name, and it pulled me back into the gravity of everything we were. Your name was said, and it felt like the universe was reminding me why I can't let go. Someone messaged me about you, and I realized how much you still mean to me, even in silence. They asked about you, and it hit me. How could I ever stop loving someone like you? I heard your name, and I wondered if you'd ever know how much of me is still yours. Someone messaged me about you, and it was like a spark reignited in my heart. They mentioned you today, and it felt like the space between us had never existed. Your name came up, and I realized how impossible it is to forget something that meant so much. They messaged me about you, and I felt the pull of everything I thought I buried deep inside. Someone mentioned you today, and I realized how little I actually let go. They spoke your name, and I couldn't stop myself from wondering how we ended up here. Someone messaged me about you, and it felt like I was falling into the past once again. They asked me about you, and it was like a reminder of everything we were supposed to be. I heard your name, and it was like the universe whispered, "You were never meant to forget." Someone messaged me about you today, and for a moment it felt like nothing had changed. They spoke your name, and it felt like an invitation to remember what we once had. Someone messaged me about you, and in their words, I felt the loss of something beautiful that still lingers. My dear, someone just messaged me about you, telling me how they still see your name in their heart. Your name came up in a conversation, and for a moment, my soul froze in time. They asked about you, and all I could do was smile through the pain of missing you. Your name slipped out, and the world around me became a blur of memories. Someone mentioned you, and my heart skipped. No one should ever say your name so casually. I heard your name today, and suddenly everything in me screamed to hold on. They messaged me about you, and for a second, I wanted to vanish so I wouldn't have to feel this. I heard your name, and it echoed through me like a song. I'm not ready to forget. Someone just mentioned you, and it was like a ghost walked through my mind again. They asked me about you, like you were just a chapter I could close easily. The message came, and it felt like a spark I tried to extinguish, but now it's burning brighter. Your name echoed in their message, and for a split second, I wanted to break the silence. I heard about you, and it reminded me of why I can't let go, no matter how hard I try. They messaged me, and in their words, I found the parts of you I left behind. Someone spoke your name today, and it was like my soul was awakened from a long slumber. Their words about you sent chills through me. How could they speak of you so easily? I heard your name again today, and it felt like the universe paused just for me. They messaged me about you, and for a moment, I could feel your presence all around me. Someone mentioned you, and I realized I'm not the one holding on. You are. They messaged me about you, and suddenly, the past came rushing back like it was yesterday. Your name was spoken, and the air between us became thick with all the things unsaid. They asked me about you, and I felt my heart shatter with every word they spoke. Your name in their message reminded me how deeply you're still intertwined with my soul. Someone just messaged me about you, and I couldn't decide if it made me sad or thankful. When they asked about you, it was like opening a door to a love I couldn't shut. They mentioned you, and my heart whispered, "Are you ever going to let go?" I heard about you today, and for a moment, I wanted to tell them everything, but I stayed quiet. Someone messaged me about you, and it was as if they unlocked a part of me I thought I lost. They spoke your name, and I felt the weight of all the things I never said to you. Someone messaged me about you, and in their words, I saw how much I've left behind. Your name in their message was a reminder of all the reasons I can't move on. They messaged me, and my heart stopped, caught in a moment where I still wanted you. I heard your name today, and for a moment, it was like everything stood still just for us. Someone mentioned you, and I realized you're never too far from my thoughts. They messaged me about you, and I found myself fighting the urge to reach out, even though I shouldn't. Your name came up in conversation, and it left me haunted by all the things I couldn't say. They messaged me about you, and it felt like my soul was torn in two. Someone mentioned you, and I was reminded of a love that still lingers quietly in my heart. They spoke your name, and it shook me in ways I thought I'd long outgrown. Your name in their message felt like a secret we were never meant to keep. Someone messaged me about you today, and I realized how much of me still belongs to you. They spoke your name, and suddenly everything I've been hiding came rushing to the surface. I heard about you today, and it was like my heart was pulled back into the past. Someone mentioned you, and in that moment, I knew we were never truly apart. They messaged me about you, and I wondered if you think of me the same way I think of you. Your name in their message felt like a reminder of everything we were and could have been. Someone messaged me about you, and suddenly the silence between us became deafening. I heard about you today, and it was like hearing a love song I'd forgotten but still know by heart. They mentioned you, and my heart whispered that you're still mine, even if we're apart. Someone messaged me about you, and I realized some things never fade. Your name was spoken, and my soul recognized it, like a call I couldn't ignore. Someone messaged me about you, and in their words, I felt everything I left unsaid. I heard about you today, and it felt like a piece of me had been returned to where it belongs. They mentioned you, and suddenly I couldn't stop thinking about everything I never got to finish. Someone messaged me about you, and I knew I wasn't the only one still holding on. They spoke your name, and it hit me harder than I expected. Why haven't I let you go?